Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Campaign Builder number 2. Now in this particular program we're going to go in a little bit more depth over some of the areas that we talked about before and explain where we currently are. Now before I get started on this particular part of the program, I just want to cover a couple of points off from last time and also reiterate a few things that I think are important. So first off, in the first program you must recall that what I'm trying to do is put together a whole campaign world and a story in 2 weeks. Now, I would not propose for 1 minute that an inexperienced referee think, oh my god, I've got to get something together in 2 weeks' time. Far from it. However, over a number of years of play, maybe it's because of the fact that I'm really into this hobby, I've developed certain techniques, certain skills, certain things which allow me the ability to produce stuff fairly quickly, I think of a reasonable quality, but entertaining, and I'm already developing those steps going forward. Now today, we played on the Friday just gone, today is Wednesday, so if you like, I've had 5 days so far, and this is where I am. So the first thing I wanted to do is go over a few things from last time and flesh them out a little bit more. So this is going to be the campaign folder that every single player will receive. There are still a couple of bits that are going to be slotted into this, and again I will update you as I put them in. So the first thing is I have an empty blank character sheet that the characters will have. It's double-sided. In the middle of it there is a sheet for spells. I then have a more up-to-date map of Plexia for you to have a quick browse at. I've then added on top of that the original hand-drawn map photocopied out with an area state map, some blanks around it for people to fill in their own details. I've gone into a little bit more detail over the Aenean Knights, so a little bit more about them and the timeline for the player's benefit, as we spoke about last time. And then I've also produced a couple of bits here which I'll go on to explain. Now the first one, I'm sorry I'm covering up a few bits here because my players might be watching this program and I don't want them to see stuff. You'll notice part of the calendar map here, and above it I've got an initial map about the location of where the starting players are. In this particular case it's a place called Arethel. Now the calendar, you'll notice, had on it various symbols of the deities marking those various religious days, plus it also has on there whether they're high mass, lay masses, whether it's a particular festival, whether it's a new moon or full moon, all significant for the various religions. I've now decided that there are going to be 10 key religions in this world. I've dropped from the 12 down to the 10. It's a fairly much an even split, 4 good, 4 evil, 2 neutral. It's just a judgment call for no particular reason. It just felt right to me to do that. I'm very happy with the way the religions are working, and I'm still working towards the piety rules as I speak. The Arethel, as you can see at the moment with Arethel, clearly all it is at the moment is a black dot, but I'm going to flesh that out. I've got an idea of what I want it to look like, but at the moment it's just a territory, an area map about where Arethel is, and my plans are that in here I will ultimately have a map of Arethel in detail. Now the reason for this is very simple. This is a brilliant tip actually for any inexperienced DMs, actually even maybe experienced ones who've never used this formula before. When you think of any location in a fantasy world, this could be for any world actually roleplay wise, think of your situations that you're developing on paper as, you should always try to be logical. So the enemy aren't just stagnant pieces of paper. They're not just stagnant stats that do nothing. Think of try and bring it to life. So what happens at what times? What happens where? Why? Who's on? Who's off? And we use a formula that we think is absolutely phenomenal. It's called 1/3 on, 1/3 off, 1/3 resting. Now in Arethel, the way I've got it planned out is the main force is gone, leaving behind the corporal, who'll probably be the paladin out in the group that's being created, and a lance corporal. Those two will be privy to a certain amount of information, and they will ultimately decide who's going to be where in Arethel. Now why this is important is because there's 6 characters in our group, so 6 characters will be on, 6 will be resting, they'll be the NPCs, and 6 will be off duty, they'll be in town, they'll be in the town of Din. Now why this is going to be important is going to become very obvious for the characters, because something will happen, and I'll go into more detail in the next program, but you can see where my mind process is going. Also those 2 key characters will know that if Arethel looks like it's falling, destroy everything, retreat back to the stone bridge, and whatever happens, hold that bridge until reinforcements come. You can already see it's gearing up towards quite an exciting campaign, quite attritional. So I've created those crafting rules for this particular reason, so the characters can start off and initially stretch their money as far as it goes. I've worked out that the crafting rules will allow them to have roughly their money will be able to be doubled effectively because of the way crafting will work. So that's the way that I've gone into it so far. You can see there are a few things that have got to be fleshed out, but I hope you like where it's heading. I've already got mapped out now some other key parts that I think are worth talking about. So I already know that because the spawn of Tiamat is very well documented. Actually, it's in Monster Manual 4. So if you've got access to that book, strongly recommend it. It's very, very good. I don't actually have to tweak these enemy. Now, normally when I look at the enemy, there are two problems in this sort of game, and it may be the same in yours. I don't know, depending on what you're doing. But generally, they need tweaking because they're not right for what I'm trying to do. But these creatures, for some reason, for this particular campaign, all seem to fit beautifully. So I don't have to do anything with them. I'm grateful for that. The other thing as well is I've been fleshing out what other enemy will go with the spawn. So, you know, lizard men creatures, maybe Shehawagin, Locanths, that sort of thing. What will go with them, Withens and dragons. But as I say, I don't tend to use dragons. Dragons would be the ultimate enemy for perhaps the ending piece in this campaign. So, and it wouldn't be against the chromatic dragon, that's for damn certain. But it probably would be very, very good in terms of, I've got an idea where the characters will fall back to the bridge, try to hold the bridge, wait for the reinforcements to come, then be relieved of duty and told to head off to another town to let Major so-and-so know what's going on, and from there get their next assignment. So I'm already working the next steps out. I don't want to make it too linear, A to B, but you know, sometimes for starting DMs, what I'm already proposing, this is often something you do when you're building a game. At the very beginning of games, it's very good to keep quite a tight rein on things. This campaign immediately gives me that process to be quite tight on how I handle it. But very quickly, I want to give the players as much freedom as possible, but I need to do it in a very controlled but clever way to allow them some freedom. So we're going to cover that off as well in future building programs as this campaign unfolds. So that's really where I am at this stage. Now, I welcome your feedback, and I thank those who've contributed so far. Thank you for that. It's really important that you keep letting me know what you think. It's really important that you ask those questions, because it's through those questions that more and more things will come to light that will be useful to you. But I hope you like what you see so far. Don't forget, I'm an experienced DM attempting to do a lot of stuff in a very short period of time. You won't have to do that. And remember that what you really want is, although I've got quite a grand idea, I'm scaling it down quite quickly to the more important things that are going to be important on the game session. So you'll see in the next steps when we come back to talk about this, where I am at that stage and what that looks like. And those bits are far more important almost than these. This is smoke and mirrors. This looks very professional. Why shouldn't it be? I'm investing a lot of my time. My last campaign ran 15 months. Why wouldn't I want to give the players that edge of excitement straight away out what this campaign world is going to look like? When they see this, it's going to blow their socks off, and there's no doubt about it, they're going to fall in love with this, and they're going to want a piece of it. Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. It's still irrelevant and very important. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been Campaign Builder number 2, Campaign Builder number 2. Until the next time we meet, happy gaming and see you then. Bye.